Welcome to the 2021 Brimbank Libraries Youth Microfiction Awards, Waking Up in Sunshine. We had a huge number of entrants for this awards, and I'm really excited to be able to talk with you about some of the fantastic stories that we received, and also tonight announce the awards to the top 4 ranked stories that came in. But before we begin, as we always do at our Brimbank Council events, I'd just like to make an acknowledgement of country. Brimbank City Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of this land, the Wurundjeri people, and we pay our respects to elders past and present. I would also like to acknowledge, before we begin properly, all of the amazing writers who have submitted their work. Our esteemed judge and author, Ursula Dubusaski, and of course the hard work planning committee at Brimbank Libraries who put everything together. Now, before we begin, I'll just make sure that you can all hear me and see me. So if someone could type something into the chat just to be sure, I'll give it a moment. Fantastic. Thank you, Teresa. Because this is a webinar, I can't actually see any of you, so I'm effectively talking to my blank screen, so I can't tell if you can. So thank you for letting me know. Now, we ran an adult writing competition earlier this year as part of the Brimbank Writers and Readers Festival. Some of you may have seen that. Now, while that was a competition set up specifically for adults over the age of 18, we actually had several young people contact us and enter the competition, even though they weren't eligible for prizes. We were so impressed by their keenness and interest in writing that we decided we had to run a writing competition just for younger people. And here we are. With the competition that we have run for people aged between 10 and 18. Our competition was run across 2 categories, 10 to 13 and 14 to 18. And we had nearly 200 entries from talented young writers across the municipality. Now, our theme for the competition was Waking Up in Sunshine, and our entrants were incredibly creative in the ways that they interpreted that prompt. We had stories about vampires, we had stories about dreams, and we had stories about zombies. There were a surprising number of stories where people were getting chased by zombies. It seems that the living dead are very popular across Brimbank. Now, choosing 4 stories from such a strong field of entrants was always going to be challenging, which is why we asked for help from children's author and Australian children's laureate, Ursula Dubusaski, to help us select our winners. Now, of course, we will be announcing the 4 award-winning entries and reading them aloud. But before we do so, we would like to celebrate some of the other standout entries from this year's awards. 2 of our library staff have volunteered to read runner-up stories that were submitted, stories that we loved and we're sure that you will love. So without further delay, our first story that we would like to read out, which will be read by June from Brimbank Libraries, is Waking Up in Sunshine by Claudia from Sunshine Heights Primary School. So let us begin. Sunshine Heights Primary School.
Hi everyone, my name's June and I'm from Brimbank Libraries, and I'm going to be reading one of the Waking Up in Sunshine stories. This one's been written by Claudia, who's 11 years old and goes to Sunshine Heights Primary School. So this is Claudia's story. You wake up to the slightly warm feeling of the sun beaming on you, showing off its brightness to your eyes. Small birds are chirping to each other. Have they got gossip? The trees look somewhat lively and youthful, swaying around as the birds begin to sing. Air is crisp. It gives you a pleasant feeling after being greeted by the sun's warmth. Opening the window, the crisp feeling begins to turn hot. Maybe you shouldn't have kept wearing that jumper. Whew. Little water droplets start taking over your face. Your lips shrivel up like a prune. You end up going back inside and shutting the window. You fall back onto your sofa and say, "What a beautiful day."
Thank you very much to Claudia for that lovely story, and thank you for June for reading it. So you can see the standard, we can hear the standard of stories that we had. Just great stories with a masterful command of language, of rhythm, and even of colloquial language. And Claudia's story is just a great example of that. Now, the second story we would like to have read aloud is by Ursula Dubusaski, and it's called The Day My Life Changed. And this one is being read out by Dahm, also from Brimbank Libraries, who works at the Deer Park branch.
Hi everyone, my name is Deanne. I'm from Brimbank Libraries, and I'm going to be reading an entry today by Ursula Dubusaski called The Day My Life Changed. I woke up to a beautiful sunny morning feeling excited and energetic. I got dressed and went to the kitchen. I grabbed my plate and saw my mum on the sofa in pain. She said it might be happening today. I dropped my plate on the floor in shock. I started having goosebumps all over me and my legs started shaking. My mum kept on having more pain. My parents decided that they needed to go to hospital. I wanted to go with them, but I couldn't. I got upset. My grandparents looked after me. I sat down rocking the chair back and forth, waiting for the phone to ring. Finally, my dad called us. My heart leapt with joy. We finally got to the hospital and all the stress went away. I was so excited. I ran to my mum's room and there I saw my baby brother for the first time. I started crying in tears. I didn't know what to say. Then my mum let me hold him. I said to my brother, I am the happiest girl in the world because you came into my life. From that day on, I was a big sister. Thanks for listening.
Thank you to Ursula for that wonderful story. And thank you to Deanne for reading it. When I read that story, it took me right back to when I was a little boy and my little sister was born. And I think that's one of the many powers of a great story, to take you back in your own life or even take you to places you've never imagined exist. So thank you very much, Ursula. Now, the next story we would like to read is one that I'm going to read out. And I had to fight the staff to read this one because I particularly liked this story. So I got dibs on this one. And this story is called One Heart, One Son by Angelica Lee. And it is my very genuine pleasure to read it out. So One Heart, One Son. Though my eyelids weren't fully open, they were parted far enough to see the radiated light that was on top of my body. What seemed to be a repetitive beep next to me accompanied the painful silence that whirled around in the air. Next to me, accompanied by the painful silence, were blurred blobs of many skin shades surrounding my figure, wearing what looked to be like blue masks, though my eyes still couldn't decipher what they were doing. The only context I could gather was the feeling of an object piercing into my body, though it didn't hurt. I could only assume that someone put me on anesthesia. Either that, or I'd been still for years, therefore probably making my entire body numb. The repetitive paced beat only seemed to quicken by the second. My whole body ached. It yearned to move again. My vision was able to capture blobs running about. Though I couldn't see very well, I could definitely hear everything. Ah, quick, get the defibrillator. How did no one notice earlier? Quick, hurry up, we're losing him. My protective folds weren't able to produce any more power that once used to run in my veins. I woke up to another beam of light. Thank you, Angelica, for that fantastic story that took me right into a hospital ward with the beeping of the machines, the defibrillator, the anesthesia. When I first read that story, I was right there lying on that bed with that person. And just a fantastic story. So thank you very much. Now, congratulations again to all the people who entered. We had 10 writers who made our shortlist, some of whom we've read. And those writers were Owen Anderson, Cathy Dahm, Elise P, Claudia from Sunshine Heights Primary, Ursula Dubusaski, Angelica Lee, Natalie from St. Paul's Primary School, Grace Campbell, and Lawyer Nedger. Now, you all wrote wonderful stories that you should be very proud of, stories that we all enjoyed immensely. Of those 10, Ursula had to pick 4 winners, which was very difficult. So now we move on to the final 4, Firstly, we will announce the 14 to 18-year-old category winners. And I'll just share my screen again. So, of the 14 to 18-year-old category winners, in second place for a $50 Sun Bookshop gift voucher, we have The Canary by Cathy Dahm. Congratulations, Cathy. The story that you wrote is wonderful. It's scary, it's sad, it's evocative, it's challenging. It's an amazing story. As we have many younger children here tonight, it's a story that unfortunately we can't read aloud at this event because it is a story that best suits an audience over the age of 16 and deals with some very confronting themes and some very difficult issues. And that's part of what makes it such an amazing story. We will be publishing it next year. Our planning is to publish it in a combined book of competition entries. So you'll all be able to read it then and see just what a fantastic story it is and why it was rated so highly by Ursula and of course by the other readers. So congratulations again, Cathy, on a well-deserved award for a magnificent story. Now in first place in the 14 to 18-year-old category, and the first place award winner will receive a $100 Sun Bookshop gift voucher. We have Waking Up in Sunshine by Isabella Nguyen. Congratulations, Isabella. This was a story that really shone and Ursula just loved it. Jennifer from Brimbank Libraries reading Waking Up in Sunshine by Isabella Nguyen, our first place winner in the 14 to 18 category. Congratulations, Isabella, and here is your story.
Hi everyone, my name's Jennifer. I work at the Deer Park Library and today I'm going to be reading Waking Up in Sunshine by Isabella Nguyen, who's 15 years old. Waking up from a short nap, everywhere I looked was full of light and felt so warm. I saw that I was in a room that looked like the sunset sky. I was on a fluffy cloud with a beautiful goddess-like dress. It felt so calm and peaceful. I looked down and saw the smiles of children playing in parks all around. Joy and happiness spread everywhere in the land. Until one day, all the joy and warmth was taken away by all his hate. The hate intoxicated the children. I was defenseless, unable to help. I was surprised to see someone as young as me, but with the complete opposite personality. The boy looked so different, so quiet, so ashamed. I decided I wouldn't stand by any longer. I went back down to the land I was birthed into. I took form as who I was before, being sent above. I was a child full of hope and energy. The one who had caught my eye seemed so similar, like I knew him before I died. He seemed shocked to see me. His eyes were full of tears, but his heart full of hope. Thanks for listening.
So congratulations again, Isabella. Such a wonderful story of reincarnation. Ursula described it as an original and delicate approach to exploring reincarnation, and I agree. This is a great story and a well-deserved award winner. Congratulations again. Now, finally, that brings us to our 10 to 13-year-old category. This category was, wow, it was really hotly contested. We were just so excited to get so many entries from across Brimbank. We had over 170 entries from people aged 10 to 13 and just a mountain of amazing stories. Choosing from them all was really, really hard. But in the end, two stories really stood out, two stories that Ursula chose. And in second place, we have a wonderful story that presents a fascinating perspective, putting us into the body of a tiny, tiny creature we're all familiar with. Our second place winner, who will receive a $50 Sun Bookshop voucher, is the story 17 by Owen Anderson. Congratulations, Owen. Owen's story we read aloud by Ricky from Brimbank Libraries.
Hi everyone, I'll be reading 17 Years by Owen Anderson. After 17 years under the ground, I surface, climbing a tree to change my costume, a pair of stained glass wings. With my thousands of brothers and sisters, we change into our last form. We experience the sunshine on our bodies for the first time. It's amazing. After 17 long years living in a darkness beneath the depths of the earth, It is truly amazing to expose ourselves to the outside world, but I know it's for a limited time. By the time we emerge from the darkness below, the clock is ticking. The next day I wake up early to the sight of the sun rising. It's the most beautiful thing I have ever seen, but I have to get to work. I climb a tree to sing my song. I'm getting jealous. I'm starting to think it won't work. All I can see is boys with girls and girls with boys, but I don't have anyone. It's my last day. I call my hardest, running out of energy. I hear something. It's a girl. As the sun comes down, she lays her eggs. This is the best day of my life, and before we know it, we're no more.
Thank you, Owen, and thank you, Ricky, for reading that. You can see Ricky was reading at work, seeing she's wearing a mask. That story just really stood out in my mind. The moment I read the phrase, the stained glass wings, and when I heard it again then, I wrote it on my hand because it's so good. I just fell in love with it. Such beautiful imagery, so evocative. So thank you, Owen, a well-deserved award. Now that brings us finally to the finalist, the final winner in our 10 to 13 age category, the top story out of 170 submissions, as chosen by Australia's Children's Laureate. And that story is Alive by Elise P. Congratulations, Elise. Your wonderful story was a hit with both Ursula and with our library staff. We have Chelsea to read it. Chelsea, who works at St. Albans Library, will be reading Alive.
Hi everyone, my name's Chelsea. I work at Brimbank Libraries, and today I'm going to read a wonderful piece. It's called Alive, and it's by Elise P, who is 12 years old. Here it is. Alive. A dead petal falls to the ground. The armchair sits empty, asleep, nestled in the corner. The clock ticks around in endless circles. They had long ago disappeared. No voices fill the hall. Pounding footsteps, fading, now gone. The silence so loud it could smash a vase. The dust knew better not to stay. Days so empty, full of nothing. Even the draft stayed low, perching, waiting. The room echoed, a hollow cave. Sunlight filtering through the tattered blinds. Orange and yellow, colours of the sun, a thick ink painting the walls. Then a noise, the porch creaking, fingers running along the faded wooden door. Breath still, time still, everything still. Then a button retracts, echoing dings, echoing dongs. Floor groans. A warm hand, as sweet as sugar, and the door creaks. A buzz of excitement soothes the dawn. Hugs, smiles, and tears fill the empty house. Moving boxes pile up, the walls shake, bliss bouncing off. Curious footsteps warm the icy rugs. Heads poke around corners, crisp happiness radiating. Sunlight spreads a beam so wide, the armchair hugged again. The clock boasting a new purpose, and blooming flowers, a fresh beginning.
So thank you, Elise, and congratulations. That is such a beautiful, well-realised story. Like the story before it, I'm writing things on my hand so I can tell my wife about them later. Thick ink painting the walls. It's just, the story is just rich with beautiful language, rich with imagery, and it just displays just amazing writing talent. And we feel very privileged to have read these stories and been able to read them out to you tonight. So congratulations, Elise, and congratulations to all the other nominees, award winners and entrants. I'll stop my screen sharing. Now, our judge, Children's Laureate Ursula Dubusaski, has recorded some thoughts that she would like to share with all of the entrants and families and everybody involved today. Some thoughts on the entries and on writing. She can't be with us here today, but she has sent us a video, which I will play for you now.
Hello everybody at Brimbank Libraries. I'm Ursula Dubusaski and I'm an author, and I'm also the Australian Children's Laureate, and I was lucky enough this year to be the judge of Brimbank Libraries' wonderful youth Microfiction competition. Now this is a competition that values succinctness. To be succinct is to say what you have to say in as fewer words as possible. And it's quite a discipline. In this competition, the entrants were given 200 words to tell their story. And what an extraordinary range of stories they came up with. They're poetic, dramatic, suspenseful, and comic. You know, they covered all the human emotions, and some of them great, all of them actually, the great human dramas in very different ways. I was very impressed, and I think it's just a wonderful thing to, even if in the end you want to write more than 200 words, I think it's just such a fantastic exercise for a writer to set themselves a limit like that, because it forces you to really think about, what do I really want to say? You know, so I tend to be a succinct writer. In the end, by my finished work tends to be quite short, but that doesn't mean I haven't written lots and lots of pages. But in the editing process, what I do is cut back and cut back again until I reach a point where I can't cut back anymore without losing meaning. And so it's a sort of concentrated, condensed kind of writing, and that's the kind of writing I like to do myself, and it's also, I have to say, the kind of writing I like to read. So I was the perfect person to judge this competition, and really very impressive. All the finalists I thought were very impressive. The words just gripped me. They just jumped off the page and grabbed me, and they surprised me as well. There was nothing really predictable about the story. So I would recommend everybody there to read all the finalists and think about them and admire them. So I certainly hope that Brimbank Libraries do this competition again, because I think it's a wonderful idea for a competition. And can I say sincere congratulations to all of the finalists, and particularly, of course, the remarkable winners. It is difficult. Any judge will always say this in any competition, that they had a hard time picking winners, and it's always like that. But that's actually a fantastic thing, isn't it? It's great to feel there are so many you could choose, rather than, you know, it being very obvious that, you know, one is great and the rest are not good. So I thought all of the finalists were really well done, and congratulations to you all and to the winners. And I hope that all of these young writers will go on and continue writing and be the succinct and wonderful writers of the future. So happy December, and bye for now.
So thank you, Ursula. And thank you everybody who entered and everybody who came along this evening. We would also particularly like to thank again the authors whose work we read aloud today. And the authors like Cathy, whose work we couldn't read, who will be sharing in the future. Those authors are Claudia, Aratana Brand, Isabella Newitt, Elise P, Angelica Lee, Owen Anderson, and Cathy Dahm. And of course, congratulations to our 4 award winners. We'll be in contact with each of the award winners to arrange getting your prizes to you. And we're of course looking to publish all of the entries with some entries from a competition coming up this summer, and print them together in an ebook or possibly even a physical book sometime in 2022. So we'll all be in touch with that too. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's awards. Thank you for bearing with me through the usual sound and video related mishaps that always seem to happen with webinars. We loved reading your work, so I only hope that you've enjoyed doing this as much as we have, because it was a real pleasure to read all of the submissions and to see the passion and talent and just dedication for writing that is out there in the Brimbank community. All of us at Brimbank Libraries are looking very much to reading your work in the future, and I sincerely hope that when some of you get around to writing books, that we'll one day have copies of your books in our libraries for everybody in Brimbank to read. So we're going to say good night for now. Thank you again, everybody. I hope you and your families have a fantastic, safe Christmas, and please keep writing. We're very much looking forward to seeing your work in the future. Good night.